Welcome to Rising Tides Live. I'm your host, Shawn Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ Media production. We are live streaming on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are in the world. We want you to be a part of this show. We are a show full and a community full of storytellers, content creators, restaurateurs, technology professionals. We've been doing these shows for 4 years, started on the social audio app Clubhouse. We go live every week, every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. London time. Wherever you are in the world, we want you to join us. Today, we're talking about partnerships, the value of partnerships, small partnerships, big partnerships. How do you do partnerships correctly? How do you benefit from partnerships? And the pitfalls of bad partnerships. So we would love to have your stories, your lessons up here on stage. We're going to go ahead and bring up the community. We have plenty of partnerships that we've gone through in the last 18 years as Cali BBQ and Cali BBQ Media. We wouldn't be able to do this thing without partnerships. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me as a small business in the beginning, you're looking for anyone to partner with you. You're looking for anyone to think that you're not crazy to open up a restaurant on Troy Street. In 2008, we didn't know what we didn't know. And I think, when you're looking as a small business at trying to find vendors to supply you food, to supply you alcohol, to supply you linen, to come and work for you, there's so many different partners that you're looking for, and you have to do what we talk about all the time on these shows, which is storytelling. So today we're going to talk about some of the good partnerships, some of the bad things to avoid with partnerships, but let's bring up my two community members and leaders, Mike Biseglia, Richard Liverman. Richard, it's been too long, my friend. What's going on, man?
Yeah, good evening from the UK.
Hey.
It's a great topic. It's a great topic, this one. And I work in the UK as a business consultant, mentor, coach with the purpose of making businesses slightly more amazing. And I think that when you work with somebody like me, it is a partnership. I don't see myself as a supplier. I see myself as a partner. And when I look at the best work I do, it is in partnership. And I think there's different ways of looking at it. You can look at it from either side of the relationship, but I very much see it as a relationship. And if you think about what makes a relationship work, like outside of work, if, some of us are married, some of us have got partners, what is a relationship built on? It's built on trust, understanding, and I'd like to say a fair amount of love. And that's kind of, I think, what the best partnerships I have in a business sense are ones that go across that, where you have that understanding and you have that trust. And I think when that goes, like any relationship, it breaks. So I think, you can look at it from a positive or a negative side, but I think what are relationships and partnerships built on? Trust, love, respect, and making each other better. I think they're kind of basics.
How many partners would you say you have in your consulting and coaching business?
I thought you were going to say my private life there, Shawn. It was just the answer was one.
That different show. That's a different show.
Yeah. Well, this is a late night with Shawn Walchef.
Yeah.
I think it's a good question. I think I have some of the really deep partnerships. I must have half a dozen to a dozen.
Yeah.
But the really, really deep ones, I think to myself, the work that is, built up over time. And you think about it, it's almost, I think sometimes people rush into relationships and immediately, want to go the whole hog. And I think sometimes you've got to build up that trust, respect, and understanding. And I think back through my career when we've worked with some sort of global brands, you'd always start off with one small project to see how you got on. And then from there, it's not just the quality of your work, but it's how you deliver it, how you build that partnership. And I think about some of the work that I've done with people in this community. And I'm thinking somebody like Scott Turner, for instance. We build up a relationship that has ended up with some real high quality work that's gone on for 12, 18 months. But but it started off with lots and lots of little things that kind of built and built and built. And I think it goes back to what I was saying about trust, respect, and delivery. I think sometimes people jump in straight away and have these big partnerships that just explode because it's not just about the work that you do, it's how you do it. I think too many businesses make the mistake of rushing in without thinking about, okay, well, how are we actually going to do this? Does that make sense? And does that resonate with some of the things that have happened to you guys?
For sure. I think, one of the biggest learnings that we've had is as we've been able to work with some really impressive logos, logos that I admire, brands that we admire that we've wanted to work with. The crawl, walk, run mantra of how do you crawl in this relationship before you walk, before you run. There's obviously lots of things that we would love to do with some of the big logos that we work with, but they have to learn about who we are and they have to trust us. So it's not just what comes out of my mouth on a Google Meets or a Zoom meeting, but they have to see how does our team work? How do we, help them? How do we do the things beyond the scope of work? Scope of work is important in partnerships. Defining who's going to do what is very important. Because if those expectations aren't laid off, then you can't go above and beyond the scope of work.
And I think
we pride ourselves. Yeah, we pride ourselves in going above and beyond the scope of work.
100%. But I also think it's a two-way thing with that, Shawn. And I'm thinking back to a previous organization I worked for before I set up my own business. And we got rid of a brand that I can guarantee is in everybody's house.
Yeah.
Because they were really difficult to work with. And I think that's the thing when you're building a partnership, it is that relationship and it cuts both ways. I've had one-to-ones where I've spoke to the person and thought, we're not right. Or I've been in situations where this doesn't feel right. And then you have to cut it. And I think, yes, you're right about over delivering that scope of work, how you do it. But I also think it goes the other way too. Otherwise you end up in a bad relationship. And I think sometimes if you're too accommodating and break your values, then you lose who you are. And then you end up hurting yourself. My gosh, this turned into therapy, Shawn.
It has. Well, I mean, it's great because what I've learned is that not only do you have to set expectations at the beginning, but you also have to check in and see where have we gone and what can we do better. Because if you don't check in and you make assumptions based off of, oh, we're guaranteed a renewal on this contract, no one's guaranteed anything. And lots of things change within companies, within organizations. The work that's performing, that work that's not performing, what the key performance indicators are of that work, all of those things, it's up to both sides to go, yes, we value what we're doing. Yes, we want to continue, or maybe we want to expand the scope, maybe power down the scope of work, or maybe this was, the engagement, maybe this was just a quarter engagement or 12 months or 18 months. And now it's time to, figure out a different way for the relationship to move forward.
And if you think about a relationship in and out of work, we're going in and out of work again. A lot of it's around boundaries. It's about defining your boundaries.
Yeah.
There's certain clients that I will pick up a WhatsApp and a phone call 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. There's others I won't. And I think it depends on your boundaries and how you work with people. But those boundaries cut both ways. And I think that definition almost helps cement that relationship and that partnership. But without boundaries, you kind of get these really blurry lines where everybody gets very, very confused. And, no one likes blurred lines. And I'm not referring to the musical people.
Well, Jason will comment on that. Mike Biseglia, share who you are, what you're working on, and give us a story about partnerships.
Yeah, thank you.
Good or bad.
And no, appreciate it. And Richard, that blurred line song I played like 8 million times in the last year. My kids love it, but the video probably shouldn't be showing a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, but the music's so good. So it's been in the rotation. Didn't think I was going to talk about that song today, but Mike Biseglia, Cali BBQ Media producer, working on right now, restaurant influencers. Shawn just had a really good conversation with some of the people at Toast and some new technology they're rolling out. So I've been working on that earlier today. Partnerships, I think, is something I'm starting to dig more into and get more interested in. I think previously, I always thought of a partnership maybe as a one-way street, and I'm starting to develop that that's definitely not what a partnership is. It definitely is back and forth. And one of the things I'm learning about, and I've learned this through doing my own basketball podcast, is the value of working with people that can complement each other well. With our basketball show, I do a lot of the production, everything that relates to recording it, stopping the recording it, getting it up on the internet and all of that. But where I've beyond just like the chemistry with my co-host, I've really found that his ability to market the show has been really powerful and helpful. And that we're not duplicating work has been so key, because I've had so many partnerships with people where both of our skill sets were in the same department. And unfortunately, then something else was left and not done as well. So the more and more I do this, I like, selfishly, it's like in a good way. It's like I want to partner with people that can complement me and know how to do the parts that I'm not as strong at, if I want to keep learning and keep growing and get better at them. But knowing that he or she is just really good at some of that other complementary pieces, I think really helps in a partnership. And like, even going back to just being with my wife, I think a lot of it holds true with that. Like, I don't necessarily put it down on paper and think about all the different ways that I have this strength, she has this strength, I have this weakness, and we help each other. But when you can find someone that can do that, and then also know like it's okay to be vulnerable about that, like, I need help here, thank you for helping me, I'm going to be vulnerable and let you know that I do need some help. I think is when the partnership really gets to the next level. Is when you can let the vulnerability in, and you can really see it go to different heights.
Yeah, I think one of the key things you talked about is just partnership expands the ability of what you can do alone.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
what you can do alone, if you're in a true partnership, it should be 1 + 1 = 3. Like, it should amplify the partnership. Jason Berkowitz, great to see you. Welcome back. Oh, happy birthday to Troy. We didn't get to embarrass him, but this is the closest show. Our dear friend Troy Hooper. I don't know where in the world. I think he's in Austin or Japan or Long Beach. He's somewhere. But Troy Hooper, we love you. Happy birthday. 51 years old. Oh, I'm sorry, 50 years old. Yeah, happy birthday. Go ahead, Jason.
So good that birthdays repeat him, I think is what Matt Wampler said. No, I say to you, welcome back. I've been here. You've been traveling around.
We've been busy.
Welcome back, Shawn.
Thank
Good
you.
to
I
see
appreciate
you.
it. It takes a village and a community to keep the show must go on, whether I'm here or not. And I appreciate every single one of you for carrying the torch.
I'll tell you what's been the fun arc is watching Mike figure out more and more how he follows that intro. Dun, 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 the countdown's up, and where it started off with pause. Hey, hi everybody is now and welcome. You know, he's not
He's got it.
Reps.
Putting in the reps, Mike. I love it.
Hey, reps. It helps.
He's finding the thread. This is positive reinforcement for you, Mike. You're leaning
Thank you,
in
Jason.
and kicking that off. So
Appreciate
it's good. Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator, partner, founder, Aero Up Training. We help restaurants satisfy compliance, level up their teams, and develop supervisors into leaders. Having a lot of fun developing our restaurant leadership programs for developing supervisors into leaders. What's been great is we work with a lot of channel partners. So I'm going to kind of tie this into it. And one of which,
what's a channel partner? Can we define that?
A channel for us is a distribution partner so we make content. And this is a distribution partner that already has an audience and a built-in mechanism of distributing what we have. We feed it the content and do a shared revenue. So it's great. So it's the idea of 0 to 1, which is a philosophy of a company or in anything, that first lift that's so big versus getting in with a stream, and 50% of something's better than 100% of nothing, or whatever your revenue share is this philosophy. So what's been great about this partnership is they tap into a whole thousands and thousands of restaurants where I can watch what courses are starting to pick up that they're going for in their licensing. Then I'm able to understand where we can start to allocate resources and put them into our smaller partnerships and things that we have more of an effort and more of a lift to push out to people and more of an understanding of testing the market. So I love leveraging that partnership to not only drive, fuel cash in the bank, but to drive awareness of what people are asking for. And so now we're able to take this and say, cool, that's working. So restaurant leadership, not sort of the above store and big leadership and stuff like that, that 0 to 1 as a shift lead, then to a supervisor, then to a manager is key. And I always say that's the difference between, what you expect and what you get is what your supervisors are empowered and supported to do. 49% of employees quit because of their managers, according to a 7-shift study just in restaurants. So I'm excited to kind of really take that apart more than training and turn it into workbooks and conversations. And how do we actually create this thing into a program, which we're then going to launch internally as well as through these larger channel partners to then be able to get feedback on it. So sometimes, Mike, it's great. I came in thinking just as a partnership from a business sense of like, who are your business partners? Who are your like-minded audiences that you can find, that you can do a shared webinar with, that you can have shared common goals and see where you fit together? I love that you talked about it from the partnership perspective of just life. My husband's the artistic director of our relationship. It's just that I'm the operator. And
It's those shared values as well, isn't it, Jason? It's the shared values of being in a relationship with somebody, whether it be in work or out of work. And sometimes if you have that value clash, it doesn't matter how much money you throw at it, it ain't going to work.
It ain't going to work. So it's great, Richard, right? Taking that time and trying to like get curious and ask questions. And the big thing about partnership that you kind of realize as you get older or feel more of a foundation, it's not an age thing, I think, in any secure moment, is see if you can make it fail fast, like an idea. And there's that thing of like, don't be afraid to like fail fast with it and figure out if it's not worth your time. And I've done that, trying to sort of build partnerships with companies or people or things like that, where I'm just nurturing the hell out of it because I'm so scared if it doesn't work. No, figure out if those values are not aligned, as Richard said, or if you're just not part of what that priority is, and understand that. And, realizing where you don't put your energy is one of the greatest advancements in life and business. So you can understand where to put it, the limited resources of energy and money and time and partnership. So great addition, Richard, because I love trying to kill stuff, ideas, all of it. I try to destroy it as fast as possible so that I know if it's worth growing.
I love that idea. The fact that sometimes what we want is a no, a no, so we can move on. And that's a reminder to myself that I should also say no, and don't let somebody think that, oh, maybe there's a way that this is going to work out. It's a no for now. That doesn't mean it's a no forever, but it's a no for now. Allocate your time, allocate your resources elsewhere.
Yeah, it's a great gift to give somebody. 1 to the head beats 5 to the chest is
Wait,
another way of saying
1 to the head beats 5 to the chest? Really?
It's a terrible.
Is that a Cleveland thing? Is that a Cleveland?
I don't know, man. Somebody told me that years ago when I kind of, said no to a project that they pitched, and they were like, well, 1 to the head beats 5 to the chest. I was like, wait, what'd you say? And I was like, it's a terrible sentence, but wow, that makes sense. Like, just let's do it. You're right. And it's like that idea of like, people feel so bad saying no to somebody. It's like, that is such a gift. Now, say it with kindness and respect, but no, move on. Do something else. It's great.
Amazing.
Yes is better sometimes, but a lot of times, but no is better than maybe.
There it is. Jason Berkowitz. Vincenzo, welcome to the stage. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Who are you? What are you working on? And tell us a story about a good partnership or a story of a partnership gone wrong. And you don't need to throw anyone under the bus. Just set the base.
Yeah, thanks, Shawn. Hello, everybody. Nice to be back with you all here. So essentially, lifelong restaurateur based out of Florida, owned, operated in many concepts throughout the state. and I've kind of transitioned out of the brick and mortar business and doing a lot of angel investing in the space, helping a lot of restaurant tech, B2B restaurant tech platforms on the advisory side, and also working on something in stealth mode to improve communication on trade. So it's more so related to the back of the house operations and back of the house admin teams, right? And how they might intersect with that. So as far as a story for partnerships, I don't know if I have a story per se without throwing someone under the bus, but anyway, what I can share is how I go about mapping it. So I start with like, how do I map to stakeholders as it relates to these partnerships, right? And how do I give consideration to internal partners, right? So, and team members and external partners. And then I make a determination on what stage we might be in related, to the partners that we might need to match up. And then does it need to be a human-driven partnership, or can it be an AI-driven partnership, right? I mean, there's plenty of large language models that exist out there where you can build a digital partner online, right? As far as, how you might want to be advised or consulted with, right? It doesn't always have to be a human. It's a lot cheaper, and you can probably get just as good as answers from an AI agent if you know how to articulate the prompt in the way that might serve you well, right? So that's something that I'm fascinated by, and I lean on it every day, is using my AI agent partner, to answer questions or to give me good advice as I might approach something. So I start there, and then just like everyone else, talks about, what type of investment do I need to make in this partnership, and it can improve out an ROI that I'm happy with, and if not, then you don't touch it, right? So it's as simple as that. So I mean, I guess at a baseline, from a baseline, that's how I approach things. But
I'm so happy you brought up the AI, the ability to use AI to get a draft of a partnership agreement, like without having to consult literally, instead of the verbal agreement, or we're going to expect, like, no, tell me all of the things that I don't know, tell me all of my blind spots, and tell me the questions that I should be asking of when things go wrong. And not only when things go wrong, but when something's sold or when there's a change of leadership, all of the things that happen, that all of the bad partnerships that I've had in the past, it's because you just expect things to go well. Well, yeah, of course. In the honeymoon, we expect everything to go well.
Right. Yeah. So from that regard, Shawn, the AI partner is so powerful because they can do a good job, I guess, framing things and structuring things as far as partnerships. And then you can double down or double click and just ask it to challenge your assumptions, right?
Yep.
To make sure the results are more, I guess, more robust and make you more confident moving forward. So yeah.
For sure. Ian Hawksworth in the house. What's up, Ian? Who are you? What are you working on? And tell us a story about a good partnership or one that went wrong.
Yeah, thanks, Shawn. Ian with EHS Recruiting Company. We focus on sourcing top leadership talent for restaurants and hospitality companies in California and nationwide. Partnership is really the lens that we really try to look at everything through, because everything we do is in making connections between candidates and companies, and we can't help our clients. We view them all as partners because there's some give and take needed in a partnership. There's investment needed by both parties, and you have to have some shared goals. So that's really, an angle we really look at everything. I would say a bad partnership most often in our eyes is when we're viewed as just merely a vendor and not as a partner. We don't get feedback, there's delays. They don't respect the time and energy we're putting into the work that we do, which is extremely time intensive to interview candidates, first to find them, interview them, write up a summary, submit them with that information. All kinds of the work that we do is very labor intensive and time intensive. And then, there will be times where we'll have a client partner that takes, a week to respond to candidates, and they're just out there wondering, like, am I going to get an interview? What's going to happen next? It's a lot of anxiety that gets driven by imbalances in partnerships. So, we really view everything through the partnership lens of like, we want to provide value, we want to help you, but in return, we need you to help us help you. So it kind of goes to some of those Jerry Maguire quotes, of, help me help you. Like, in a partnership arrangement, there's no other way to accomplish a shared goal. So yeah, we're always looking at things that way, and then other types of partnerships too outside of clients, whether it's marketing partnerships or reciprocal marketing agreements or all kinds of different things where we can help others in similar industries or adjacent industries to reach each other's goals collaboratively. So yeah, I love the topic and wanted to make sure I could pop on for a bit to chat about it.
Ian, I don't know if you can say this publicly, right? Have you fired a client from not being a good communicator or a good partner?
Typically we don't explicitly fire them, but the bad clients just inherently get less attention. They're shooting themselves in the foot if they don't ever provide feedback. Then their job orders are going to be a lower priority to our recruiting team because we're 100% contingent. They're going to go where the money is. Like, if they're never getting feedback for a candidate, why would they prioritize that company to send them the top talent if they feel like it's time that's wasted? So they're going to prioritize the good clients that respect the partnership and that work collaboratively, and it's just a matter of incentives, and that's how things go at times. But
because
and there's other times, it kind of gets quiet quit, I guess would be a good comparison at times. If you have those clients that they just send you a list of jobs and say, and then you never hear back, you send them a bunch of people and you're like, okay, did you want us to work this? Did you not? Like, so it gets confusing. So I think that's the mistake at times on the other side of that partnership arrangement, for them to be aware when you're signing this agreement to work with someone, you're agreeing to invest a certain amount of energy into making that relationship work,
Are there and this is for all of us, and sit back for a sec, Shawn, I got this. Are they that's what we like to do. Do you think that there's qualifiers that you can you put your finger in the air and know just by the way that they reply on an email, the way that they communicate back on something right at the beginning, where this is going, and as in such, almost put does it make sense to put a barrier up, right? Like, I'm sure we all, Richard, you're working with people, right? We all know based on their communication pattern at the beginning whether or not this is just going to drive me out of my
100%. And I think it goes back when we're talking about partnerships. We always think about, okay, how are we great for our clients? But I also think there's a little bit the other way around. Like, how are our clients great for us? How are we going to be good to our suppliers? Right. And I think sometimes people get in this relationship which is very hierarchical. Like, fuck that. How can you be a good partner to the people you work with? Both, like, the people, like I have a support worker and my accountant. I love them to bits and they know that. But I also think my clients should know that about me. But I also ask my clients, okay, how can you be the best version of yourselves when you come and see me? Right. Like, how can you get the most out of a relationship? And I think there's sometimes, like, to Ian's point, I think it's really interesting. Like, okay, how can you be a good client? Sometimes we think too much. How can we be a good supplier? Flip it. How can you be a good client? So we both get the most out of it.
Yeah, it's a great way of looking at that. And you can, it's almost great. Like, I think for people that ask that question, even right at the beginning of how, right, how can I best support this relationship to really make it succeed, right? I tell people at the beginning, like, communication is, one of my business love languages. So, like, even if it's just, I need a day, send me that, right? Those things are good because then I'm going to give it the exact amount of time and attention of whatever that deserves. And so I think it's good to have those conversations up front. You don't want to get too heady and dramatic, but
Well, it's as simple as, I think somebody was talking the other week about, when you go into a restaurant, how do you treat the server? And I think there's that little bit, we're obviously we're the guests when we go into a restaurant, but there's also that question, how can we be a good guest?
Right.
Well, shouldn't we be asking that about how we operate, how we work with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, no, Jason, I couldn't be more aligned in what you're talking about with communication. I mean, digital hospitality, the essence of digital hospitality is communication through technology. How do you make me feel? Like, are you responding? But to your point, how I respond is different to how every client is going to respond, to every partner responds. Some people want to be communicated through Slack. Other people only want to be communicated through email. Some people want a phone call. Like all of those things, the due diligence is really on me, I believe, in the partnership to find out what is their preferred method of communication. But to your point, laying out the groundwork from the beginning of it's important to communicate so that we can move things forward for this scope of work or for whatever we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and I love how you're saying it, which is like even having that at the beginning and saying, "Look, I can work towards you.
I can adapt to you. You tell me the tools and techniques that you need. This is what we use. This is what we use on our clients. If you don't use Slack, okay, great. We'll use WhatsApp or whatever the tool is, ZenZap, whatever it is. We will use that tool to communicate. But to the point of we need to communicate and we need to know what are like. If you want us to move these things forward, if you want this thing to be successful, these are the things that we need from you.
Yeah. And we will work with you on that, but let's set with the groundwork and agree on it.
Yeah.
And then, which is a lot of like all things in contracts and partnerships and that stuff. To me, it's less about the litigious or anything. It's just like, did we lay down, do we agree on what the standard of expectations are? Which is key.
Yeah. On that note too, like our agreements, we have an addendum that's not part of the contract, but we've added a best practices, like this is how this relationship will work most efficiently. And we have that as a rider onto our agreement to try to make that as clear as possible. Now, whether our partner,
do you go through that in a meeting? Like, it's so interesting that we're talking about that because like we can make documents, we can send documents, but who reads it, who downloads it, who goes to the landing page? It's like, how do you best effectively communicate the things that we need people to know from the very beginning? And it's like, do I do a screen share in the beginning and just go, hey, by the way, these are foundational mission critical elements for this partnership to be successful, so that they don't miss the attachment.
They don't read the handbook, Shawn. They
don't read the handbook? Stop it, Jason. Everyone reads the handbook.
No one reads the handbook, Shawn.
What do you mean?
Everyone
loves the handbook.
I was going to jump in.
Who doesn't love onboarding? I mean, onboarding is just this magical time. No, is that a separate?
I'm waiting for Vincenzo. I think it's fantastic. It's hilarious. Vincenzo's waiting patiently. A gregarious individual who sat quietly.
I was going to just chime in from hearing what everybody's sharing here on whether partnerships are aligned or not, right? And usually can find out, where they might be with their thoughts on how aligned they are with you. And if they have your interests at heart is, let's say, for example, if you're hiring a developer for a startup company, right? Obviously, they're going to want some cash compensation, but to find out if they're truly aligned on what you're building so they look out for your interests, why not ask them to take on a hybrid form of compensation, meaning some cash, some equity, so that when they're working and they're thinking about their equity and they're always aligned at that point. And that's how I've always approached it when I'm considering dev teams for companies that I'm advising or what I'm working on now. If I hear that they're willing to take some form of compensation and equity, that's usually a good signal, because now they're going to have to look out for their interests because a piece of their compensation is tied to equity, right?
What do you like to give? What do you like to sell for equity? What is this too much to public share? But let's just hijack this for a quick sec because I'm having this.
Okay.
Yeah. What? So top developer, top engineer coming on board, paying a rate, offering them a bit of equity. Obviously, it depends on the valuation and all this, and you're not talking in stocks. What's a fair value? What's a fair number?
Well, find out how much time he might work on this project, right? Based on an area that he might be focusing on, and then evaluate that time based on an hourly rate that he thinks he's worth, right? And then baseline that against the valuation of your company and how much equity you might attribute to that, right?
Perfect, great. Yeah. So you like that standard? That's cool. Yeah, it's good.
Great baseline approach. Say, okay, show me each line item on the scope, how much time you might attribute to each one of those line items. I'll then take the amount of hours, multiply that times your hourly rate, because maybe you're the best engineer that I know, and then I'll line up equity for you from that regard, knowing that equity doesn't hold a one-to-one value.
Right,
and you might only get maybe a fraction of that, maybe 60% of that value that you can assign. Right?
No, you get 600% that you assign, because this thing's going to blow up. Picking up on what you said and what we've all been talking about, something that somebody had said to me a while back, and probably I was too timid to build into my conversation, but now I do, is, so what's your timeline look like, right?
Yeah.
And so if we're taking on a partner of something, talk to me about what your timeline looks like, right? And they might be like, all right, yeah, Q3 2026. And I might be thinking it was, Q4 2025. And it's just, there's something good about establishing that. And I mean, even in if you're going to hire a partner with a developer or different things like that, just being extremely upfront with what you're thinking of a timeline. So
yeah,
I think, look, Ian, with you, there's so much hurry up and wait in the hiring game and anyone who's going to tell you they're going to open up on September 1st is going to open up on February 1st in the restaurant. And so, what's your timeline is a really good question to answer, to start to get on the same page. I've learned to do it. And, not come off in any way. Just people appreciate that. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you set the expectation on that timeline, Jason, right? And now you're assigning equity and they can't deliver based on that timeline, their equity doesn't vest. So you have nothing to lose.
Right. Timeline to start, timeline to vest, all of that.
So you're not going to forego any equity if they don't hit that timeline that you guys, set an expectation around, right?
So this is an open question to the community. Any view on family as partners? Does anyone have any horror stories or success stories they'd like to share?
So I asked one of my favorite restaurants, who's a husband and wife. I wrote the book, Please Don't Sleep with the Host, but they ended up getting married. So it's a great husband and wife, front of house, back of house. And I'm going to eventually, our goal with me and Lars, my husband, is to own a restaurant again one day together.
Really?
Separately. Yeah. We're going to own one together in the future. And we're excited.
Knowing all you know about restaurants, you're going to go.
I love it. It's my, I know how to make money.
We're all sickos.
Yeah, sickos. I know how to make money out of four walls. And I just, I've never had more energy, felt more young. And so it's after the exit of Arrow Up and all of this and everything in the future, or screw it. Arrow Up will always run through this restaurant because that's what it builds. But absolutely. The goal is to not have to, I did a really good job not having the pair of keys. The goal is to not have the pair of keys, right? To be the key holder.
You can't be the key holder.
Then it's going to be fine. But here's the point: is I love this. I said to this husband and wife who are magnificent in one of my favorite restaurants, what's a lesson for us in the future? They said, take your arguments out behind the dumpster so no one can see. And I was like,
take your what?
Arguments out behind the dumpster. Go argue behind the dumpster when you're mad.
I thought we were going to say bodies then, Jason.
Yes. No. That's next. So to try to be careful to not have that partnership, whatever that dynamic is in a negative sense, carry over. But yeah, I'm upset. We're going to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's
one to the head and then behind the dumpster.
Yeah. In the dumpster.
One to the head is better than 5 to the body. So I learned that.
You said it too long. 1 to the head beats 5 to the chest.
5 to the chest. Not to the body, 5 to the chest, 1 to the head.
And that is better then. You want, right? Shorten words.
Yes.
Right. I'm trying to get better at that. Less words.
Well, less words. Let's go. Mike, go ahead. Tip, takeaway, homework assignment, partnerships. What do you think?
I thought it was really interesting what Ian had said about, and I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. Just being a partner, not a vendor, and looking at it from a two-way street. I think I never really thought of it that way. It's like I always want to be the best to said client or someone I'm working for, but never thought of it like that. So that kind of was a light bulb for me. So that was cool.
Yeah, for sure. Vendor is very transactional. Partner is much more sustainable. Richard, go for it.
Yeah, really interesting conversation. Thank you, everyone. I have a request to the community. On Friday, I've been nominated, I'm actually part of Britain's 100 favorite businesses, which is insane. And It's they're promoting 100 of the UK's favorite small businesses. I'm one of them. It's going to be all over social media. I've got into local press. It's going to go into national press. It's going to be back in the House of Lords again in December to celebrate this. So there's a big event called Small Business Saturday on December the 6th, which is absolutely incredible. I'm one of them, and they are doing a day promoting my business on Friday. It's going to be all over socials. Any love for socials on Friday would be massive for my 100%. Business.
Like it, really share it, comment it. Richard, you're our guy. Please share the link. So anybody that's watching, listening, we have a Slack channel, we have a LinkedIn group, we have an Instagram group. Plenty of ways. If you're building something, if you're doing something as cool as Richard, please send the links in there so that we can find them and reshare them and engage with them. Richard, that is amazing news. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Really appreciate that. Thank you. And I've created a special guide to celebrate this, 100 ways to make your business less boring. And you'll see there is a quote from Shawn Walchef in there that will hopefully amuse.
Fantastic.
And it's an incredible opportunity. And, I feel very supported by this community, and anything's possible. If you put yourself out there, you'd be amazed what you can do.
Amazing, Richard. We're so proud of you. Can't wait. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Naki. We appreciate you. Ian, tip, takeaway, homework assignment.
I think my takeaway was I like the idea of asking how you can be a better partner, at the beginning. The list of ways to be a good partner is useful, and, you can go over that, but also being cognizant that when you join a partnership or any type of those, collaborative relationships, that there's a little bit of work necessary on both sides. So I like asking that question.
Yeah, definitely. Don't be afraid to ask. What are the qualities of a great partner for you? What are the quality? What are the red flags that that the partnership isn't going to work out? Let's figure all that out in the beginning versus down the path. Good stuff. Vincenzo.
I guess takeaway and tip, a little bit of both. Set a clear expectation that is satisfactory to both parties as it relates to aligning on a partnership, and maybe start that all off by just asking, who you might be able to interview. For example, if you're working with a company that might be providing you some services, ask, who are a couple people I could talk to cross-check some of the the work you might perform for me in the way that I would like it to be conducted. So I think you learn a lot through interviewing and talking through some of these things, and it builds credibility. So yeah.
Awesome. And reminder, Friday's show is Pitch the Tide. It is our restaurant technology showcase show. So if you have a restaurant tech platform, service, software that you want to pitch the tide, you can email us at podcast@calibbq.media. This Friday, Chris Munns, Chief Revenue Officer of Kubrix. He is going to be pitching the tide, and our job as a community is to give him feedback on his sales pitch, his presentation, his storytelling. Excited to have Chris on the show. He's been a big supporter of the Rising Tide community for a long time. If you want to pitch the tide, email us. If you want to host a show on Wednesdays, we always are taking guest hosts. If you have a topic you want us to talk about, we always do topics as well. Jason Berkowitz, you're up. Take us away.
Picking up on Vincenzo's statement, and then to quote Troy Hooper, who quotes someone where this comes from, which is great, which is first seek to understand, then to be understood. I think Troy even has that monogrammed in his jackets and shirts and underwear. No, I don't know, but understand this. So I like that, because then it's understanding the alignment with somebody. So really try to understand what somebody's goals and initiatives are, and to make sure it makes sense, as opposed to trying to force what your agenda is.
Amazing. Thank you all. Thank you guys on YouTube, on LinkedIn, Naki, Dean, everyone that joined. If you're listening on the podcast, please join the live show. We want you up on stage to be a podcast guest, to meet the community, to learn what you're building. We will be back on Friday, Pitch the Tide with Chris Munns. Thank you all. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. See you guys next week. Thank you, Mike, Richard, Ian, Vincenzo, and Jason. Good show, guys. Thank you.